I'm Hispanic. I was raised in Ecuador, college in Tennessee. I was born in the United States, but sometimes, culturally speaking, it is difficult to feel that you belong somewhere. And I don't know that happens to you. I don't know that if you go back to Cuba, you still feel you're Cuban, or they see you, no, you're American. It has that barrier just clash. So when it comes to music and culture and everything here in Miami, it's been a unique opportunity to blend and just go with the flow of cultures. Music definitely is different, so it's been interesting to just break that barrier.
Welcome to High Level. My name is Axel, and today I have the pleasure of interviewing my friend JP Zabala. JP, how are you doing, my man?
I'm doing good, man. Thank you for inviting me to this podcast. I'm super excited. It's been a little while that I've had the opportunity to share and talk. I've been in a season of being behind my guitar, being behind studios or other jobs that don't require me speaking as much. So I am super excited.
Yeah, for sure, man. JP and I, we met in college when I was going to film school at Lee University. JP and I, we were like a very small group of Latin guys. So we all got along, and we played some soccer. We ate some really good food. And when I was doing the podcast, you were one of the people that I definitely wanted to have on. So tell me, JP, how is it being from another country? You come to the US and now you're in Miami. You're trying to make it as a musician. How is that process? Tell me about all that.
So that's a good question, and crazy to start this podcast that way, because so I was actually born in New Jersey, in the United States of America. I was actually born in this country, but when I was 5, my entire family is Ecuadorian, and obviously I consider myself Ecuadorian. So when I was 5, my entire family decided to move back to Ecuador, and obviously I went with, and after that I was raised in that culture, Hispanic and Latin culture. Beautiful, I love it. I wouldn't trade it for a thing. And then, fast forwarding, I was able to go to Lee University, go to college in Tennessee, at Cleveland, Tennessee. That's where we met, like you said. And that transition overall initially was tough, because going from a very Hispanic Latin country, obviously, to a very southern right, state or area in the United States. The culture was very different. Like you just said, it was beautiful to be able to find and connect with the Latinos, right? The whole Latin Hispanic community from Lee. So that was nice. So after that, I graduated, go back to Ecuador, right, for a job opportunity, and we fast forward a few years, and I get the opportunity to come to Miami and work here. So, ironically enough, I wasn't doing music full time, and maybe not even part time while in Ecuador. And when I came to the States, 2017, I didn't come with the purpose to do music either. Music has been one of my passions forever, and I always thought it was going to be a hobby, or at some point I still can't believe it's something that's actually allowing me to make a living out of and such. But when I came to the States, to Miami, specifically in 2017, I came in a different context, working at a church, working in different nonprofits, working with families, creating community events, just different style of work. Pandemic happens, right? I think that's the phrase of the next 5 years, because I truly believe the pandemic was a breaking point for either good or bad for many people. Mm-hmm. And for me, I think it was beneficial. So once pandemic hit, I wasn't able to continue to carry the job I had, and I had to explore something else. And you know what? I was like, let's go ahead and do music. And that's where, I think, answering your question specifically, it's been an interesting dynamic to see that even though I'm Hispanic, obviously I was raised in Ecuador, college in Tennessee. I was born in the United States, but sometimes, culturally speaking, it is difficult to feel that you belong somewhere. And I don't know that happens to you. I don't know that if you go back to Cuba, you still feel you're Cuban, or they see you, no, you're American. But when you're here in the States, you're like, man, it's just it has that barrier just clash. So when it comes to music and culture and everything here in Miami, it's been a unique opportunity to blend and just go with the flow of cultures. Music definitely is different, so it's been interesting to just break that barrier. And I think something that people would like to hear, that if you're a young guy or a young girl wanting to produce or do music, man, I knew nobody. And sorry if I'm just extending my time on this question, but
Yeah, no,
I
no, go for it.
I knew nobody in the music industry in Miami, because the other job I was in was different context. And you know what? I think that once pandemic hit, then you realize if you really want something, you're gonna go out and get it, and make it happen. So I just started looking on Instagram and social media, like Miami bands or soloists or singers, and either started to follow them or contact them, write them an email. And out of those many people that I reached out to, a few started reaching back. And I think that's how it started for me. And we fast forward, what, 2 years, and I still can't say that I'm living full time, um, like I'm receiving a full time income through music, but it's getting close. So 2 years of hard work, 2 years of just dedication, and planting seeds, man. Just
Yeah.
planting seeds. You won't see and I'm sure you could relate to that, man. Just sometimes you're doing gigs or stuff that, although you should be valued, financially speaking, with a pay. The reality is it doesn't happen all the time,
Yeah.
and it's just like going out, connecting with people, and I knew there was a purpose behind it. I knew I was driven by a vision at the end of the tunnel, and that's how I've ended up to be where I'm at right now.
Yeah, I think that concept of planting a seed, that is key. That's something that I wish I had learned that sooner, like when I was
Yeah.
younger, because sometimes you feel like you're doing a lot, but nothing seems like it's working, and you
Right.
don't realize that a lot of the things that you see on other people, like working out and they're doing a big show or they're making a movie or something like that, you don't know how many years it took them to get there.
Oh
And
yeah.
you and I reconnected again about 2 years ago when you came back to
About
the States.
Yeah.
We saw each other on Instagram, and then I put you in touch with some friends of mine, and
Yeah,
you
man,
were
Jay.
starting to get traction with your music and all of that. And now it's like we're having this interview, and what people might not know is that, hey, like 2 years ago, we talked about like your career, getting everything
Yeah.
started again. And how is it? How long is it? Like 6 years ago is when we used to like be neighbors at Lee and met for the first time. And
Right.
it
Yeah.
takes a lot of time. So tell me a little bit about that process. And when you get to Miami, Miami is like the capital of Latin music. Like
Yeah.
what happens
Yeah.
there is amazing. I have a lot of friends there, and it's a city with a lot of energy, and everything is happening for that industry. But you
I
get there, and I have some other friends that have tried also to like make it, and they come from another country, they're well known, and when they get to Miami, it's like, okay, get in line.
Right.
So how is that process of finding a producer and finding places to play, and how do you make progress on your music? How does that work?
I love that, man. First of all, bro, you're too far, man. You got to be here in the melting pot, dude.
No,
like,
you have to come here to LA.
bro, like really, I'm sure those who are watching, like, what Axel does and has done, and man, every time you post something on Instagram, or there's a lot of value and content in that, and I'm talking beyond just the music videos you've done for like top artists, and I'm talking beyond just different projects and short films you've worked on. It's more the value that I see that you found through your social media and through your voice. And that's beautiful, bro. Maybe we could talk
Thank
about
you.
that some other time, but I just want to honor that from you, man. It's
Thank
actually
you.
been inspiring, and has taken me to, in a way, be who I am today. 2 years after that conversation we had when you connected me with a producer, great guy, Jay Simmons.
Yeah. Shout
But
out to
yeah, man.
Jay,
So
Jay, Miami.
shout out, my bro. So it's interesting, dude, because like you said, people that come to Miami and trying to break into that music world, You said it perfectly. It's like, hey, get in line, and there's a lot of competition. But that's the trick. People that come, yes, maybe they have ambition, maybe they have that hunger to be somebody in the music world, to be the next Shakira, or to be the next Bad Bunny, or to be the next Mark Anthony, and they're determined. But personally, what has helped me is that instead of looking at from the eye perspective of competition, I've seen it from the eye and perspective of community. And thankfully, I'm so thankful with God because He was able to, in this process, again, and I guess it depends on your personality. Like if you're a very outgoing person, it will be easy for you to connect with so many different people who are in your same shoes. If you're a little more of an introvert, still, like there's an opportunity and there's people all over. But what I'm trying to say is that in these connections and these like networking opportunities that I had, I was able to meet. He's like my brother at this point. His name is Wismer. Hope he's watching. Shout out to him too. And Venezuelan cuatrista. It's cuatro. It's picture a ukulele, but it's more. It's rooted towards more of the Venezuelan culture, folklore, and that's what it's used for. And Wismer is one of those people who thinks out of the box, and actually he's much like you, Axel, and I think even much like me, and those creative people and initiative people. And he used the cuatro that's again played for folklore purposes mainly, and he used that for overall music, pop, bossa nova, you name it, jazz, and I was able to meet him in one of those opportunities, and I just opened up my heart. And told him, you know what? Like, I know I'm not the best singer. And I say that, I always say that. I know I'm not the best singer. I know I'm not the best musician. But I do know that I have a heart for people. Now, you're probably asking yourself, okay, JP, like, what does that have to do with music? I think it has everything to do, man. Because if you come to Miami, like you said, the melting pot of music, of Latin music, yes, if you're driven, go for it, man. Go for it and kill it and do what you got to do, but you can't do it alone. And that's the difference when you see something as a competition. You're running alone. You want to win. You want to make it first. You want to be the person who like lifts their flag of I made it and I'm the best, and that's okay. But then when you see it from the eyes of community, it's not about winning. I mean, it is, but it's not about getting there first. It's about getting there.
For sure.
No matter the time frame. So I think that I had the opportunity to see it that way, and that's how it's been lately. With this friend of mine and just a group of people that from this community that was created by him and his wife Alemor, who shout out to them. I'm sure they're watching. Alemor was just recently nominated for a Latin Grammy. Was able to work with them. Went to Latin Grammys in Las Vegas. Just a unique experience. And again, that wouldn't have happened for me if I would have been seeing things as competition, right? What would have happened? Like, I want to be nominated. I want to go because I want to be known. Nah, bro. I didn't even go to Latin Grammys. I didn't go as a star, and although like it would be, I was dressing nice and I had to, but I went there with the concept and mentality of we're a team. We're here for the person who's nominated. We're here for the band who I'm traveling with from Miami. Just different people and a family. Yeah. So just to be concrete again in this question is, be driven, yes. Be ambitious, yes. But you don't have to do that alone. Create a community, build a community of people, of musicians, obviously people who are in your same vibe, and trust me that it will take you further.
Yeah, definitely. Like some of the best projects that I've been part of, it has been because of other people and friends and people that I helped before. And like you said, not thinking about competition, you have to think those people that seem like your competition, the sooner you make them your allies, the better and the further you're going to go. I remember one of the biggest projects that I've been able to work on is I was a producer on a Sebastian Yatra music video. And I got that project because one of my good friends, Israel from Kappa Productions in Miami, they needed someone in Georgia and I had a lot of experience producing there. And then the producer asked him, and that he connected me with them. Instead of like him taking on that job, he was like, no, Axel can do it better. And whenever I have something in Miami, I give it to him. And now I've made a relationship with that producer. And Dubraska, she wants me to go to Miami all the time to produce things for her. And then when
Bro,
she comes to LA, I help her. Yeah,
Come wave that melena here, bro.
for sure. Yeah, I have to make a trip, definitely, because I have so many good friends in Miami, and it's such a cool city for music. So I want to hear about what you're doing right now and like the projects that you're working on. And tell me a little bit about your process. Like, do you write your own songs, or when you work with a producer, how do you like find the melody and the music? And then when you're recording, tell me a little bit about all that.
Definitely. So as you can see, my guitar is right there. It's always there. It's always in hand, and maybe I could play something for you later. But so what I'm doing right now, I think I would define it first of all in one word as magical. And I don't want to sound like, oh my gosh, here he goes. But you know, again, it's just the mentality and the concept of releasing control. Now, obviously, you have to know what's your north. You have to be in charge of, let's say, the boat that you're driving over the ocean, and you have to know what your direction is and where you want to go. But it's just releasing control of thinking that what the only thing you want to do in that moment is the only thing you have to do in that moment. Why do I say that?
That's
because
tricky.
It's tricky, and yeah, because sometimes I'm like, okay, you know what? I want this season to be a season where I put out my next single. Great. Starting the year, 2-3 months, March, boom, 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 and work on that. I'll tell you how I do that in just a sec. But then life happens, man, and money happens or doesn't happen. You know, sickness and family and just different things. And if at some point that deadline that you put on yourself for that specific song doesn't happen and doesn't meet that deadline, you're going to be crushed. Not necessarily because you didn't have the talent, not necessarily because you didn't have the ability, but because life happened. So on the contrast of that, if you just release control, you'll understand that, you know, okay, I want to create music, number one. Number two, I want to create music with talented people. Awesome. I want to put out projects that whether I'm the singer, musician, the artist, the writer, the producer, I want to be a part of that recognition. Great. So as you see, you know, these are tangible goals, but at the same time, they have space in between. So that being said, dude, I talk a lot, man. Sorry. That being said, it's right now I'm in that season of a magical season where I'm writing music for other artists. I'm collaborating in the like melody process for other artists and their songs. I'm actually currently writing music for myself and people helping me. I've had the opportunity where I recently actually first time ever directed 5 music videos. Actually, this was in Guatemala a few months ago. Wow. And Brown like, me directing? Like, that's Axel. Contact him. You know, but it was just because these people have seen what I've been doing creatively. And then they're like, hey, JP, you have, you know, what a better person for you to do that? And I'm like, I've never done this. They're like, doesn't matter. We trust you. Just trust your gut. I'm like, woo, that gut better be worked out because I don't know. So that, you know, if I would have been closed up and I just want my song in the next 3-4 months, these other opportunities wouldn't have happened. You know, does that make sense? So yeah, man. So I think the sooner thing that's gonna happen is releasing a song. It's gonna be a Spanish, song in Spanish. It's called Sueño, or we're still debating on it, and it's just a beautiful song where it talks about that very unique love and that you meet this person, or maybe it's even yourself. And so, anyways, that's what the context of the lyrics. I do write. The process of writing, it's beautiful because, you know, I usually grab a guitar and just start playing and some chords, and after I play some chords, I'm like, okay, this this has a vibe of like maybe a little bit flirty vibe, or maybe it has a more just maybe depressed vibe, or it has a joyful vibe, and just you go from that. And after, that's how it works for me. And after I have that melody, I'm like, okay, cool. So this could be like, "Ay, nos fuimos para la casa. Yeah, just you just start flying, man, and that's how it's been for me. And when I write, when I produce, so I think that encapsulated a little bit the question you asked me. So just
That's awesome.
release control. I'm working on a song or an EP actually, but a song coming out soon as well, and just working on different projects for different artists. So it's exciting.
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, that part of releasing control for me is difficult because as a director, you're supposed to be in control, and
Yeah.
sometimes a lot of the times on set, I have to do this exercise, and recently I've been conscious about it that I do this, and it's almost like I take a beat and I look at what I'm seeing, and then I ask myself, what do I want to see and to happen? And it's like I'm visualizing what the piece should be, and then I go and execute, because there is at least for like visual arts, there is a gap between the vision that you have and the execution of the vision.
That's good.
So
That's good.
you need both to be an effective director. You need both. So you
Yeah.
need to have a vision of what you want to see. Then you need to be able to communicate to people in actions that as a result will create that vision. And you need to know, like, if I want this to look a certain way, you need to know what that looks like first, like in your
Right.
mind and your brain.
Right.
And then what are the steps that I need to execute to make that thing happen. So that exercise, it usually takes like a few seconds for me to like realize that. And it's almost like in my head, I would like look to the side, and then my brain shows me the image of what I want to see.
That's beautiful, dude. Like that's unique, man.
Yeah. And then I look at the reality, and then I compare that and say mentally, okay, this has to happen, this has to happen, this has to happen
Right.
for that vision to come to life. So for me, that concept of like letting go is, it's not the first thing that I would normally do, but I agree with you 100% that it's necessary to create something magical, because you can only take it so far, and then you have to let it go, and then you play
Right.
in this magical flow of, well, let's see where it takes me, and I have some kind of direction, but let's flow with it. And I've been in many studio sessions with so many friends, and like I see how that ebb and flow of creative ideas happens. I think there is a little bit of a technique to it, and like you said, you start with this and what emotion is giving you, and then you start thinking about how do you go more down that path.
Right.
But I love that concept that you're bringing up of like letting things go. And as you were talking about all of this, I was trying to think about social media and Instagram and all of these different platforms, YouTube. We have to use those platforms,
Yeah.
but then it's like, do we even know what we're doing? Like sometimes I feel like I'm just like throwing things out there with whatever I think is effective.
With your boxing, bro. I see that, man. Pa pa pa.
So how do you handle that? Because I think as a musician, you have way more flexibility. Like you can post all kind of selfies, and like you're a really handsome guy, so you can play a little bit more with that. For
Thanks,
me, it's
man.
like I'm supposed to talk about cameras, you know? So how do you handle all of that, and then the expectations that come with it, and
Well, I think we are living in a time where there is so much knowledge, but it's not all relevant. And again, adding to that, we live in a culture and a generation that wants to make every piece of knowledge relevant. So I say that because, yes, there's a lot of information out there now of, like you said, social media, and you should do this and you should do that, and now Instagram, for example. Reels or other platforms. I'm not sure if we could mention all these other platforms, or I don't know, but like,
We can
all
talk
these,
about anything.
like Instagram and TikTok with Reels and just crazy numbers of engagement if you're doing it right, and then YouTube supposedly being the number one, not supposedly, actually is the number one social media platform through where you could get revenue, and just different things, man. All that information is out there, and everybody wants to make every piece of information relevant, but it doesn't all apply to you.
Yeah.
So I think I've been in that process actually, and it's funny because social media sometimes, like you said, you just post a picture, a selfie, you post yourself playing the guitar or with a group of friends in the studio vibing. Yeah, it's easy. Yeah, but at the same time, maybe if we're doing that, perhaps we're like, oh, I read or I follow this social media guru and he says you have to do this and that and that. But then when you do it, you don't see the outcome. In social media, we're speaking about social media, right? So it's like you get frustrated. So it's like, what am I doing wrong? Do I have to edit the picture or edit the video even more? And it just becomes a world of, I don't know, man, like a can of worms. So the way I do my social media is I'm trying to just show myself as I am. I think this will lead to another topic that I would like to end the podcast with as well. But like, it leads us to I'm trying to show myself as I am, as a musician, artist, but as a person, as a father, as a employee at my regular job right now, and just show myself vulnerable, real, raw, honest, broken. And I say broken because recently we've been, again, all of this because of social media. I was talking with a group of friends, and we came to the conclusion to where, my gosh, like sometimes you want to be positive and influential in a good way through social media, but sometimes it seems like the darkness brights more than light, or that negativity draws more attention than positivity.
Yeah.
And it was just frustrating. So we came to the conclusion, like, man, like even like, all this negativity that you can find on social media, everything is happening because people are broken as well. Whether you're trying to spark light or whether you're trying to not spark light, we're all broken. Like, not just because of the pandemic, but because we've lived in a culture where we're supposed to show our strongest face, our strongest suit, but not necessarily show our wounds and our battles. So we created this concept, it's in Spanish called rotos, but broken, to where we want to create a community just open to any profession, any career. Because one of my friends, she's a doctor, for example. I'm like the musician. My other friend is also a musician, but he's more also different career than mine, and just keep adding people like that. And we want to show that whoever you are, whatever you do, it's okay to be broken, and it's okay to try to shine through your wounds by being broken. So all that encapsulating with music and my social media, that's what I try to show. If I'm playing a song, I try to record myself a story in my couch and just like showing who I am. If I'm playing with my boy, just trying not to fluff it. Yeah, sometimes it's cute because you have two kids, and sometimes there are moments where they're beautiful, and if you capture them video and they kiss you and they say I love you too, that's like an awe moment. But sometimes you want to capture you eating with your family or whatever, and your kids are messing up the food at the table, and it's okay to show that because you'll see accounts where you got the perfect family, the perfect kids, the perfect singer, the perfect videographer. You'll find all that stuff. And I just think it's important to show who we really are. And that's what I'm trying to do with my social media, man.
Yeah, I think that's amazing, JP. And we need a reminder of that all the time, man. I feel like we're just trying really hard, like we need certain numbers because professionally we need that attention. So like when you get a new single, like people listen to it.
Exactly.
But at the same time, it's such a big reflection of who we are as people. And if we don't learn how to be okay with being ourselves there, it'll be really sad, like if you start doing the the right thing for the platform, but not the right thing for you and who you are as a
Come
person,
on. Yeah.
then like
Yeah.
what's the point, right? So I think that's a really nice. I think that's a very like deep way of thinking about it, and I appreciate that that's how you're thinking about it. So I hope
Yeah,
more
man.
people can do that, because we do need to show like all the things that are, you know, hard, and like everyone
Yeah.
is going through a lot of problems, and it's not all like flexing and showing off and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's just not true. It doesn't matter how good you're doing. You're always going to have like the moments of struggle. So
Right.
I think that's awesome that you're doing that. So
Thank you, man.
I wanted to ask you about, you were like, whenever we talked about the interview, you said that you had other things like other than music that you also wanted to talk about. So what's those ideas and things that you're trying to bring on that
Yeah.
is not like specifically musical?
It's among these this same concept of broken. Uh, I just spoke from the social media concept because we with this group of friends we created an Instagram account called Broken Rotos. Maybe later on you could probably see it on the bottom screen. It's called Rotos Frases, and it just shows phrases and poetry, whatever. But we're trying to take it deeper, and we're trying to actually create a nonprofit to where we provide workshops to people, to families. Like I said, we have in our team already. We have a doctor, myself, that I've not only a musician or singer, but actually my career. I have an undergrad in theology and then a master's in child and holistic development with family therapy emphasis. I like to work with people, with families, with just from the mental, spiritual, emotional aspects, and we have a group of people just professional in different areas. So we want to provide workshops to where how do you combine who you are with who you want to be, and just stuff like that, man. So that's pretty exciting actually, because it's a whole other world. And on that same note, like yesterday, I had a video call, super random, because a friend of mine saw that we were doing working on this project, and he's a producer as well. And he was like, JP, I was just feeling with what you're doing, and I want to produce a song, having you sing it, but regarding that essence of brokenness. And I was like, no way. And then my mind started flying, and it was like, wow, that's going to be like the song for the campaigns and all these workshops.
Yeah.
And then, dude, stuff like that. So that's something that it's in the works right now. I don't have a specific day for anything happening when it comes to that, but I just know it's happening. We want to write books and all of that because we want to show again that you could be yourself, man. Actually, I encourage you, whoever you are and whoever's watching, the pressure of life is enough already. And then we add more. So I just want to encourage you, whoever's watching, to understand that you don't have to add that extra weight. You just have to understand that you're perfect as you are. Again, perfection is probably just also a metaphor, but you are exactly who you have to be, and it's one of those things that we gotta learn how to live with ourselves, and learn how to be a bridge for others to also learn how to live for themselves, and just replicate that through generations and cultures, and just that's something that's, again, like I'm working on right now, and it's pretty cool. So I'm glad that we were able to touch on that right now, and I think it was just a great way to sort of land the plane on this podcast, with something so encouraging like that.
That's awesome, JP. Well, man, thank you so much for spending some time with me and talking about all of this. I wish you nothing but the best with
Thank you,
all of
man.
your music and all the
You
projects
too,
that you're
dude.
doing, man. And hopefully we get to see each other soon in Miami.
Dude, let's make it happen, man. Mi casa es tu casa, papi. So let's do it, dude.
Gracias,
Let's do it.
gracias. Well, guys, thank you so much for watching. Again, my name is Axel. Make sure to like and subscribe and share this interview with a friend. And hopefully we'll see you in another episode.